What is going on, folks? Welcome back to episode 14 of Meet the Critters. We have had a hell of a week already. A hell of a week. It has been nuts around here. So if you guys follow the YouTube channel or in the Telegram chats, Tally had her piglets, and we are super excited. We got a video out of that this week, and we could not be happier. And then it's just been a bunch of running around. We got Senor Skull in, there's a video of that going. Actually, I brought his teeth in so I could say that I have his skull on the table, even though it's going to be an acetone for 6 months. So I couldn't wait, so I can carry this around. So super exciting episode tonight. We have Laura from Kenyon Acres on, so we're going to go ahead and pop Laura on. What's going on, Laura?
Hello, how are you?
I am doing great. Laura is I get all of my pigs from Laura, all of my Herefords. And I will say they are the best pigs on the planet. I freaking love them. They are so freaking good. So Laura, kind of introduce yourself.
I'm Laura. I am from Kenyon Acres over in Northfield, New Hampshire, which is delightfully more civilization than Kyle is normally used to. So
it was a hell of a drive down. It was an hour and a half, and I'm like, I gotta go by Concord. No.
You don't have to go by Concord.
Oh, wait. No, I didn't go by Concord. I'm just thinking. Yeah.
But you went through Tilton, which is where you found the KFC.
That is very true. That is very true. That was the first time I was near a KFC in over a year, which was the last time I went and picked up pigs from you. I was like, I'm not missing out on this.
Fair enough. So we are, I'm fourth generation for our farm. So my great grandmother and her husband at the time bought the property in 1942. So we are quickly approaching century farm status.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So I have to my knowledge, the only full breeding herd of registered Herefords in New England. So I have 5 girls, I have my boar, and then we just brought in 2 new girls. They're not Herefords, we're calling them American girls because they're wild mixes, and we're just looking for some more numbers and some extra genetics. Also, my dad no longer owned any animals because all the pigs were mine, and I think he was feeling left out.
And meeting your dad the past couple times, I could definitely see him be like, I'm going to have something. I can't not have something.
I did name them, however. They're Betty and Wilma.
Ooh, there you go.
So they're my Flintstones girls. Otherwise, I have the Gilligan's Island girls, which is Marianne, Ginger, and Lovey. And then I have my Harry Potter girls, which is Luna and Ginny.
Oh.
And so the babies that you have now from me are from Luna, and Tally's mom is Ginny. So they're my Harry Potter girls.
You have no idea how happy my wife is going to be to hear that. She has a sticker on her car that says Muggles on board. So she's going to be so happy to hear that.
Well, we have to stick with themes. Otherwise, I don't remember them. And then my boar is Han Solo, which my nephews got to name him. But he actually came from Wisconsin. And he came on this really adorable little goat trailer, and I really want one now because it was just this short little trailer, and it was perfect for pigs. But it's a lot cheaper to buy a trailer in Indiana or New York than it is to buy it over here. So I haven't quite built up enough need to drive to Indiana to bring home a trailer.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with trailers. I mean, I always say that New Hampshire is one of those places that we have a very large agricultural community, but no one that really cares about it. So the infrastructure is not here, and everything costs twice as much.
Yeah. We actually, so height of the pandemic, we were looking for a stock tank.
Yeah.
Not for my pigs. We were actually going to turn it into a pool. And we couldn't find one. So I went online and was looking at where I could order it from, whatever. Yeah, I could order it. And then it was So it was $400 or $500 for the stock tank, and then it was another $700 in shipping.
That's insane.
And we happened to be driving by Tractor Supply one day, and they had one in the yard that somebody had canceled their order.
Perfect.
So it came home with us.
Perfect. You can't.
And it is a pool. That is my pool in my backyard.
I do say that is a it's a double-edged sword, because I do definitely think that we get the short end of the stick sometimes when it comes to just availability and just overall it's a pain in the ass. Yep. But on the other hand, on my side of it, where it comes to like the butchering and stuff like that, a lot of stuff's hands off. It's like,
yes,
don't be an idiot. Like, we're not going to bust your balls on too much stuff. But I've got a buddy down in Texas who's been on the show a couple times, and they just have cornered the market so much on everything down there that it's like all of the skinning, even on a mobile setup, has to be done inside. Like, it is absolutely insane what they jump through for hoops, but it's because all the massive processors are down there, because it's a massive agricultural industry that has so much infrastructure that they have the ability to go, no, you can't do this, this, and this. Just kind of because we said so. Like,
well, and I mean, even size-wise, it's a whole different world here, because my farm's 115 acres.
Yeah. I didn't even realize it was that big. That is
awesome. And we have 30 acres of cleared hay fields.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest is wood lots plus gardens and the house and all that. And then we have leased land in a couple other spots in town that we use as hay fields.
Perfect.
So it's big. There's quite a lot of land there, and it's really fun to have as a playground. But yes, in terms of what we're allowed to do, New Hampshire's pretty low key.
Yeah. Again, it's don't be stupid. Like.
And if you're going to do something, don't talk about it.
No.
Just keep your mouth shut, and it will be fine.
There's a reason we're all in the woods. Like.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And I'll tell people because obviously I'm, out of anyone listening, hopefully I'm the only one who's ever seen at least part of the property. It's freaking gorgeous. It's what you expect from at least the parts I've been on, like a century-old farm. It's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah. We're currently in the process, actually, of building a vineyard.
Yes, you said that the last time I talked to you. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were selected out of about 200 farms that applied. We were selected to be one of 42 to participate in the program. And it's out of UNH, and it is to grow kiwi berries.
I have never heard of kiwi berries.
I know. Isn't that fun? So I actually have. And in 2016, I was up at Hermit Woods Winery in Meredith.
Yep.
And they, it's around the corner.
Right.
They were making a kiwi berry wine, and it was fantastic. But they stopped being able to make it. So I actually found a whole bunch of bottles on a clearance rack, and I bought all of them. And they're all gone, obviously. But
there's not one locked in a safe somewhere for like that.
Yeah. No, it's gone. So I, when I saw this pop up, I think it was in like the Farm Bureau newsletter or something. They were looking for farms that were interested in being part of this. And I, texted Dad and went, hey, do you want to grow kiwi berries? And we have this luxury of, if we want to try something, we usually can.
Right.
So we said, sure, why not? And we ended up making it through the full selection process, and the kiwi berries, the vines came in the mail. They came in a cardboard box. It was so awful.
That's so weird. Plants are so weird. I can't bring myself to it.
We won't talk about my garden in the backyard. It is not pretty. It's drowned so many times over this year.
God, this year, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could garden. I genuinely wish I could. But my freaking ADD does not allow me to just deal with anything that's not moving or could possibly kill me. I've just, that over time, I've just gathered that hypothesis and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
because I've started a garden like 5 times, and halfway through the year I'm just like, I don't care. Like it's just part of me is just like it doesn't click. I wish I could. I really do.
We planted peas this year and they've actually done fairly well.
Yeah.
And it's, we've had enough that we could go and cook them and have them for dinner. Now we eat them in the garden while we're doing other stuff.
That's a garden snack. I know enough to know that you plant those right at the entrance. So it's like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. But it just looks horrific because it's drowned so many times. And even the pens where my pigs are, they look, they're soft spots. And
oh yeah,
especially in that big pen where we have most of the pigs, that we had the fence grounded out, and I was trying to go find the ground out, and I made sure to go in on an entrance where they couldn't really see me, so they wouldn't come help me.
Right.
Because they are, you've seen it, they're very, very socialized. They want to come see you. They want to know what you're doing. And the last thing I need is to be up to my ankles in mud. And one of them go, hey, come snuggle me.
I have slab boards placed strategically just as bridges to get to like the piglet, like the 5 piglets I got from you. They're in like an out paddock that I have to walk through the main paddock to get to. So I just have bridges all over the place to get in there. This year has been crazy.
Yeah, see, I can lay stuff down and they will walk it anywhere else they want.
Yeah. Tally is, so I mentioned in a prior, I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but I definitely mentioned it in a prior video. We were planning on, just for like financial and convenience kind of stuff, because we were trying to downsize on a couple things. I was like, all right, well, once we get her weaned, more likely we'll put her in the freezer, because I don't have, like, as it stands at the moment, we don't have a pig for our freezer out of the batch we've got so far. So it's like, all right, we'll get some meat in our freezer. It'll save up some like freedom to move stuff around a little bit easier over the winter. And so she had her piglets and she did such a good job. And luckily I was so happy I was there, because she had them in the morning. I was up until 1:00 the night before, going out every half hour on the half hour. And I would just sit there and smoke a cigarette. Just shit. God damn it. Like, just freaking out. And finally I was just like, all right, she's going to do what she's going to do. And I went out first thing in the morning, brought the kids downstairs, got Paw Patrol on, and shoved whatever I could in front of them to run outside. And there was nothing. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. And went out about a half hour later and there were 2. I was like, it's happening. But she has done so good. She's so cautious. We lost one of the 2 runts that I thought had a little more pep in its step than the other one. That's why we brought the other one in for a little extra love. My wife was walking around with it in her bra most of the day for body heat and feeding it every half hour. So now she is running around like a champ. She just does pinwheels all around the freaking paddock. But she's so cautious where she's stepping. I've only seen her kind of step on one once, made a squeal right off it immediately. So needless to say, Tally will be staying with us for a very long time. Me and my wife looked at each other at the exact same time and we're like, this pig's not going anywhere. I will find a boar. I'll figure something out. We'll get it done.
Well, and one of the neat things with the Herefords that I've been not shy about changing things up if I need to. Mm-hmm. And I've got one sow who, she's a great mom. She's fantastic. But the minute she has babies, she hates me.
Yeah. That's
because I make her babies
exactly where that was going.
Yep. Oh, the minute she has babies, I don't go near her. I don't go near her pen. She tries to eat me, and she's vicious. But I've been
on the wrong end of that before on jobs.
Yeah.
I had a buddy's pig. It was a Yorkshire. It's a Yorkshire sow. And this thing was massive. And it hated me. Like from the first time I met it to the last time I saw it, thing would try to come through the fence at me. He called me over to help him one day because he was selling piglets. So he's like, I need help just cornering this thing. I'm like, all right, that's fine. And I'm like, I know she hates me, so I'm going to come in the back. Like, I'm going to climb over the fence in the back. The second my feet hit the ground, that thing was charging at me, mouth open. And I literally, like, matadored out of the way and just jumped over the other side. I didn't even stop. Just jumped over. I'm like, good luck. Have fun. I'll stand here and watch.
Well, and the funny thing is, it's only when she has babies.
That's crazy.
The minute that the babies are gone, she's totally cool with me.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm the one in the pen who pulls them out, checks them over, you know, They yell.
Yeah.
And I try to resist telling her no, but it's one of those like, yeah, you just lunged at me. We're not going to have that conversation right now. Mm-hmm. But it is, I also very much think that they need to be able to farrow on their own.
Yes, I agree.
I do not intervene. I have never had one that, and maybe this is luck, but I have never had to go in after one. Yeah. I'm also very, very reticent to do that because you can do so much more damage.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they can't have them on their own, why am I keeping them?
No, that's a huge thing. Like we originally had 2 gilts that we had kept over, and we had the other one, and she was a great pig. She was a little more ornery, but she was a good pig. And I don't know, it started right when, actually it was right before processing of the other ones. She just developed this limp, and I was like, and we kept her for a long time. And we're like, we'll try and breed her and see what happens. She was with 2 different boars. And when we got Senor finally, she got mounted a handful of times. And then it got to the point where she could never actually be up during the mount. Her legs would just give out.
Yeah.
And we decided to put her through. And it's like, it sucks because they're good pigs. And
yes.
Yeah. And that's where I'm so lucky with Hallie. She has been a complete angel. I've been in there over top of her, pulling piglets, checking them, doing this, that, with her. And she'd just pop her head up, look at me, just put her head down. Usually she just comes over and just puts her head on my leg. Just kind of like, oh my God, what are these things?
So what's really funny, so Tally's mom is Ginger, or is Ginny.
Yeah.
So Ginny and Luna came from Lovey and my first Hereford boar.
Yeah.
So my first Hereford boar, in 2019, I had the opportunity to go out to Ohio and pick him up. He was 10 weeks old. His name was Tank, and he was my pig.
Yeah.
I would go in the pen and I could lay him down. He would sit between my feet. We had to get him friends because he was so lonely. So we had to go pick up 2 other pigs just because we had girls who were about the same age. We couldn't run the girls with him. Right. So we had to go get him friends. But he was the sweetest boar. And I remember doing meds with him and just walking into his pen, walking over to him, scratching his ear and just, hitting him with the meds. And he just looked at me like, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
He ended up, and we still don't know what it was, but he ended up getting just something wrong, and he went off food. He went down.
How
and
quick?
He ended up
a couple days, or was it
month and a half, maybe a little more?
Yeah.
But he was gone before Luna and Ginny were born.
Aw.
Yeah. So and their mom actually hasn't had a litter since, and she's headed for freezer camp, but probably not our freezer camp because that's full of other stuff.
Right.
But it's still, that he was my favorite. He was so sweet. Han is great, but when we did meds this past year, I bought a pulse syringe because I couldn't quite
Oh,
bring
yeah.
myself to reach in through the fence line to stick him in the neck. And I'm really glad I didn't.
Yeah. No, and it's so hard when I'm getting schooled now because again, I've been a butcher a lot longer than I've been a farmer, and
Yep.
I've put down a lot of pigs, and it's kind of been like, all right, cool, yeah, it's here. Yeah, pigs kind of suck. Yeah, they kind of suck because I'm trying to shoot them in the head. Like, so I didn't have a ton of experience, and then now that I've had a good amount of experience with them, when I had to put Senor down, that was I cry. I fully admitted that, and even in the video, I cried like a baby because
Yeah.
that freaking sucked. That thing, same thing as Tank. I could go in there and just rub him behind the ears to the point he was laying on his belly or laying on his side, like immediately. He was such a baby, and
Yep.
to know that and have to put him down with, and again, this was a medical thing. He was it just sucked, but
Yeah.
that makes it so much harder. And that's when I again, the conversation with Tally, we were like, oh, like, well, we can't do this now. Like, this pig's gonna be here its entire life. That's good to know. All right.
Yep. Well, and we've had generations of pigs that, they're born at the farm. They are, they have all their babies at the farm, and then, they go to the freezer at the farm. They never leave the property.
Yeah. That's awesome. And that's the way it should be in some aspects. It's like,
yeah,
you got a good operation. That's kind of how it should be. If you've got new blood coming in all the time, something's not right. And it's, yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, the next time you come out, I'm going to have you walk like behind the barns, because that's where you can really see more of the property.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. I got a question here for you. Does Laura send out her pigs to butcher, or does she do them herself?
Oh, it depends. So I have actually found that it is more work and less fun to try to sell them as halves and shares.
Right.
There is, and we were talking about New Hampshire doing, very hands off. Well, there are rules if you want to sell piecemeal.
Yes.
And I don't really want to front the money for the licensing. I don't really want to have to worry about having, published hours of having somebody there so that if somebody shows up to buy pork chops, whatever, they can. That's just more work than I'm interested in doing at this point.
It's a lot.
And it is. And I have better luck selling piglets. Like, I have people who would like to be on a wait list, and I will keep a list, but I won't do wait lists, and I don't do deposits unless you want an intact boar. Then I have to do a deposit, because it's a lot easier for me to castrate at 7 days than 7 weeks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yes, the long answer to the actual answer to the question is, we have sent them out before when we've sold them as halves and shares, because I'm not that talented with being a butcher.
What are you talking about?
I can do it.
Anyone can do it.
I can do it, but it's not. So we actually, my husband put brisket on the smoker tonight. Well, during the day today while we were working. And he pulls it off, and he comes back outside, and he's like, so that wasn't cut quite right. And I looked at him and went, I'm not highly skilled, and I'm not paid.
Right.
So for the most part, we do butcher for ourselves. I've got a big family, so it can go to family. It can go to friends. You sell them a plastic bag that happens to contain something, or you just give it away. But for the most part, we do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we actually would have been Tally's sister. So she had two sisters. She had two sisters that I wouldn't sell because they just weren't. Something was off.
I remember those. Yeah.
Something was off. And we ended up, one of them just spontaneously didn't wake up one morning, which was weird, but she didn't like the cold. So I think that was just like a little too much.
Yeah.
But the one that stayed alive, we put in the freezer over the winter. I think it was like January or so.
Yeah.
And We actually, because I wanted to do some slow roasted pork belly, we actually did a scalding, which we don't normally. Normally we skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an experience.
It sure is. Do you want to know what I've never done as
experience.
a professional butcher? Scald. Because I'm like, I'm good. I'm all set.
Well, this for the pork belly, you'd slow
Right.
roast the pork belly and then you fry the skin and you get
Yeah.
the really crispy.
No, I've seen it and it looks amazing, but not
Yeah.
that amazing.
What we actually found worked really well. So we started out with a metal garbage can on one of the big burners.
As we all do.
Yeah. I mean, and it worked for the most part. We also have a lot of tractors, so we could move her around that way. But what we ended up doing to just get a chunk of the hair off was a rag, and you pour hot water on top of it.
Yeah, that works real well.
That worked well, but otherwise it was it was an experience.
Yeah. I don't offer that service because I'm like, no.
I posted a picture of that split carcass on our website. And I ended up, my dad said, yeah, people don't show things like that. And I went, well, I do.
I was going to say, what people is he talking about? Because I do constantly.
And this was, coming from the background of, keeping that edge. And I think there has been a lot more conversation about people processing their own meat and how to do it and just sharing that. Which
I have a whole YouTube channel based around that.
I know.
So I
watched a lot of your videos.
I appreciate it. I absolutely agree. Like, I think there's been a huge boom in people that really want to understand where their food comes from, which I think is awesome. I do think a lot of people are getting into it thinking it's a lot easier possibly than no. Yeah. A lot of people are getting into it at 1,000 miles per hour, which I can't blame them for because I'm guilty of it as well.
Yep.
But without a backup plan or without a plan or understanding of what absolutely is going on. Because they go into it and they go, oh, this pig's only $100. Yeah, cool. We'll put up a fence. It'll be fine. Well, that pig that was $100, it's going to cost a good couple $100 to feed, and it's going to be 10 times the size in about 6 months. So have fun.
Yeah. We've used the phrase they outgrow the cute really quick.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And it is fun to see. I love raising pigs. Like it's so much fun, but like you and I were talking about the other day, it's terrifying when they're that small.
It sucks. I have been on edge all week.
Yep.
From the prep to them coming and now them just being here. Like it reminds me of when we brought my kids home. Like when they were just tiny and squishy and I'm like, I could break you immediately. Not even trying. Like I need to make sure you're okay. Like as we're having this conversation, my wife's texting me like, did you feed Carmen? Did you feed the pig? Is she okay? I'm like, she's fine. I just watched her doing friggin' pinwheels outside. She's gonna be all right.
Yep.
And unfortunately, and it's also, if she's not,
there's not much you can do.
It is what it is. Because so right now we have 10 live. She had 13 that one was stillborn. Actually, technically 12, because one was like one of those like undeveloped ones that's kind of there. So we had one that was a stillborn and one the other runt that passed away. So so we have 10 left currently. And I'm like, it's a win. That's a win no matter what. Like if we lose one or two, it is what it is and it sucks. But it's also what we're doing. Like we're farming.
Yeah.
That's part of it. So, yeah. So, but we were talking about it a little bit before. The colorations on these things are freaking nuts. And
I love the chipmunk.
I am so
really
excited.
do.
I am so excited to see how these things grow out. And
Yeah.
I've talked about it on here when I've talked about like my plan for it, where it's like, I think the color is going to be cool, but I'm also interested to see what the body composition is. Because it's like, and I can already see a little bit in some of them where I'm like, you're definitely shaped like an Ossibah. And then this tank over here is all Hereford.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I still remember joking with you about like what you would call an Ossibah and Hereford mix, and I still think Ossiford is a fantastic name.
I do think that's great. For a while, I was sticking with effing hogs, just because I live in Effingham. I got to do it.
Yeah.
But dude, I do like Ossiford.
Yep.
That's great.
Ossiford.
Yeah.
It's like derogatory officer, Ossiford.
Yeah. But for those who haven't seen the video that's up on the YouTube, I think it's 2 back. I just put it out the other day. These things are all over the color spectrum. We've got some that are jet black, like Senior, which ironically, a lot of the jet black ones are built like Herefords, which is like what I was planning for the whole time of like, I want something that looks pretty awesome, is going to have good fat cover, but still have the Hereford build. And I've got a boar in there that I'm looking at like, you might be keeping your nuts, sir, because if you grow out really well, you're going to be awesome. But yeah, so we have ones that are all black that are pretty bulky like Herefords. And then we have a couple that have the Hereford color pattern. And for those who don't know, again, Herefords are majority pinkish white pigs with dark red spots throughout. So
they're gingers.
The gingers, exactly. So a lot of these piglets have the Hereford color patterns with either jet black or the chipmunking that you get from like a Mangalitsa piglet. So some of these, I have no idea what they're going to look like in a couple weeks, just because once that chipmunking goes. But it's so crazy how it sticks to the color patterns with the Herefords. It's so crazy. Genetics are nuts.
I love it. And I just threw more light on because I realized how dark it was getting in this room. My favorite thing about the Herefords is they are incredibly distinctive. I mean, you don't see them around.
No.
And especially around here. And around here, there's a lot of pink pigs.
Yeah.
And we've done the pink pig thing. I can't sell them.
Yeah.
I can't sell them. Even though they're the perfect, I mean, your bacon pigs.
Yeah.
Your bacon pigs are Yorkshire Landrace because they are a long body, lean pig. You get a lot of bacon. I can't sell them.
No. But then people see the bacon that comes off Herefords and they're like, oh, got it. Yeah. Which I was thinking about that when you said it the first time. I didn't realize that you were the only like registered breeder of them. And how lucky I was that Carlisle over at Armstrong Acres was like, because I was asking him when I first started, he mentored me a lot when I got started in it. And I'm like, I don't want to do Yorkshires. I really don't. And I was talking to him even before I had pigs. It was my plan to kind of do this Dr. Moreau action with breeding a woolly production pig. And he was like, I think Herefords would do really well. You should message Laura over at Kenyon Acres and see what she's got. And I remember getting a message back from you super early in the morning because I was up with my infant. Yeah. Like I had been up all night and I just get this message like, yeah, I got some pigs if you want to buy them. I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's do this.
Yep. Oh, and there's no telling when I will answer messages.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was funny because then I responded and you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've had people who go, oh, I want, 6 piglets. And the minute they're on the ground and you call them, they've ghosted you.
Absolutely.
And that part is so incredibly frustrating. And I very much, this year, this surprise litter. So
Yeah.
the litter of pigs that you got, their mom was due in March, and she had them in what, May?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea how happy I was to get that text. I almost cried because at that point I was like, well, I guess we're not getting piglets this year. Like, oh well, like this sucks. And all of a sudden, hey, do you want 10 piglets? I was like, yes,
Yep.
yes, I do.
And the full story of that one is we were doing something. I don't remember what we were doing, but Mom, Dad, and I were all working outside, and Dad had gone into the pig house to feed breakfast. And we just hadn't moved Luna back outside, but we were getting ready to, going, well, whatever, but she was round, and she never looked wildly uncomfortable, but she was round. And all I could think of was, well, she got really fat. I don't know what's going on here. And he comes back out and goes, so there's 15 new things in with her. And I just remember walking over to the barn going, are you kidding me?
God damn
So
it.
she had them in a pen that we do not use for farrowing. We have certain pens that we use for farrowing because they've got like the bumpers on the side, or they've got like a different layout. And she wasn't in one of those pens. So it wasn't quite level. So she ended up kicking some of them and I think really hurting them. And then we had 2 that just didn't make it.
Right.
So, but and she had 12. 2 were gone before we ever got to the barn.
Right.
But yeah, was not expecting them when they showed up. And yeah, we did try to move her outside into a pen without our boar. And so we were moving her into the little pen with Marianne and her mom, and got her on the trailer, walked her over, got her in, all fine. I shut the fence off to go fix a ground out, and she went up and over the outside of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So she went up, she was in the hayfield. She was having a great time because it's all second cut that's coming up. It was delicious.
Oh, she was loving life.
Oh yeah, she was super happy. Well, I wasn't, because I need her back inside. So she then goes and wanders down behind the barn and goes down into the woods a little bit and comes out behind the house. And she and I circled the house like 4 or 5 times with me just like running to the other side to push her back so she didn't go into the road. Meanwhile, we have a hay customer show up who is now witnessing this whole thing.
And I hope participating.
No need. Yeah, finally got her to just go back in the barn. And I was like, we're done. We're not moving her yet. We're done.
Oh, that sucks. Mm-hmm. That's never fun.
Well, and then we had Wilma and Betty outside, and that pen just got way too soupy. And we're like, okay, they're going back inside too. So I've got 3 pigs in the barn right now.
Oh, in July, it's awful.
I know. And
I met it, but I feel your pain. Like,
yeah.
So we had the exact opposite, where I did the math wrong, and I'm like, I got a month, but I'm still going to prep some stuff and kind of get things going. And then I walk out and I'm like, you're bagging up a little bit, and you shouldn't be bagging up for about a month. So what's happening here? And I'm just keeping an eye on her. And then I really started prepping everything to get ready. And then I'm like, now you're really bagged up and your vulva's like swollen. So something's happening here. And I actually was talking to Carlisle, and he goes, well, what's the date on that picture? I'm like, what picture? And it's my Facebook profile picture that somebody took of me giving the thumbs up to Senor mounting Tally in the middle of the pig pen. And I'm like,
yep.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And he just goes, yeah, she's due tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Yep.
And also happened to be when we got like that 4 inches of rain in a half hour the day after that. So then I had to move her from the paddock I had prepped to a different paddock. And I'm like, great, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I sent you the gestation calendar.
Yeah, exactly. I have it saved on my computer. That's right, Canadian Farmstead. Math is hard.
Math is hard.
That's why I cut up animals for a living.
I actually have that chart saved on my phone.
Yeah, I have it now. Carlisle sent it to me, and I'm like, cool, this is going to be on me forever.
We AI'd pigs a couple of years ago, and the company sent us a poster-sized gestation chart.
That's awesome.
And that hangs on the back of the basement door at the farmhouse.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The weird things we find awesome in this line of work.
Well, they also sent me they sent me stickers. They sent me some. I'm like, I can't put these stickers on my car, but I really like to.
Yeah. No, why not? Do it. So something I did think of, and I'm gonna pop back a little bit to the beginning of this podcast where we talk about specific breeds, and we've been doing that a lot. But for people who don't know, because you know far more than I do about the breed, can you just give like a quick, like, what is it? Like, just kind of body composition, stuff like that.
So Hereford pigs are a meat pig, which is they'll get some back fat, they'll get some marbling, but they're not that heavy marbled, heavy lard pig. So you aren't going to be able to make, tons and tons of lard for frying donuts off of a Hereford.
Right.
They are almost a red meat pig too. So they're super flavorful. They cut up really nicely. And Herefords are a mix of a Poland China, a Chester White, and a Duroc. And they were developed in the 1930s in Indiana.
I did the same thing today.
Iowa, Indiana.
I was talking to someone about it, and I'm like, Indiana, I think it's Indiana.
It might be Iowa. I think it's Iowa.
It's an I. It's one of the states that starts with an I.
And it's over there.
Right.
So they are, and for the most part, and I will die on this hill. You have more variation within a breed than you do between the breeds, especially when it comes to temperament.
Mm-hmm.
I am super picky. If you're not nice, I'm not keeping you.
Agreed.
I absolutely need to be able to walk into that pen and, if you're in my way, tell you no and you walk away. Or if you don't, I don't need something aggressive.
No. We were both wrong. It was Missouri.
It was Missouri?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's why Google exists.
Yeah, exactly.
So then there's a pretty prolific show world of Herefords.
Oh yeah.
I stay out of the show genetics. They don't fill out the way that I want a pig to do. And they're bred to be a shorter, muscly pig. And I have not found that to be very pasture hardy.
Yeah.
And when I talk pastures, I'm also talking a Century Farm, where our pastures are woodlots. They are rocky. They are muddy. They are dirt. One of my pens actually runs within 20 feet of the house right now. So they will talk to you if you're sitting on the porch.
Right.
But we're not talking lush open fields. I've got terrain that they need to be able to deal with and not get hurt.
Right.
So, it's like the one you had to put down. Like, I can't deal with a pig getting hurt. And I like bacon. I want them to fill out correctly.
Right.
So, and I've held back the smalls. I've held back the ones that just something's off.
Yeah, because as a producer, you're like, I wouldn't eat that, but I will, because I'm not going to give that to somebody else to eat.
And it's like gardening. Not that you do it, but you eat the ugly stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You sell the good stuff and you keep the ugly stuff and eat that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you mentioned to me about Tally that Tally's taller than usual.
Yep.
She's
I
yeah,
like the long legs.
I do too. She's such
And
a tank. But that's what I love about these freaking pigs is they're bulldogs. That's what
yep.
that's what they remind me of. They remind me of just like the big Marine Corps bulldog, like face on when you look at them.
Yep.
They're just tanks, and I love them.
Yeah, and they are big, and they are, we butcher out 6-8 months.
Yeah.
We're not strict on that 6-8 months thing because it kind of figures in when the weather's going to cooperate, because we do not have a walk-in, and when we have the time, which this is farming. There's never time.
No. But time? What is that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And when we butcher stuff out, it becomes an all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is I still have a Monday through Friday job.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a leave work, run to the farm, change my clothes, and go work until 6 or 7 at night, and then drive the 20 minutes home, take a shower and find something to eat, and then go to bed.
Right. I need to stop laughing when people go, it's a lot of work. I'm like, yeah. They're like all hands on deck. I'm like, but it is.
Yep.
It's so much work. I've just been doing it for 13 years. But like it is, like for someone to do it on their own, it's a lot.
Yep. Well, and it's in terms of dressing it out, like, again, I'm not very skilled, and I'm definitely not paid. But like, you've done the education, you've done the background, and the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah. And that's the difference. It's like you can do it, which is awesome. Like, and if you ever want like tips or anything, let me know. I'll be happy to help.
Oh, I've told Carlisle, I was like, you need to someday teach me how to do sausage and casing, because I just explode the casing everywhere.
I got some tricks for you. I've done
literally just exploded casing, and I just give up.
I've done tons. Well, I can already tell you what the problem is. You're probably packing them too tight.
Probably.
Yeah. No, it's something they got to be packed very loose, because when you think about it, when you're cooking it, all of a sudden it heats up, everything expands. Yeah. So if your soup's packed super tight, as soon as that expands, gone. So if you do a looser casing, like I don't hold the casing when it's on the horn at all. I hold it in the sense of I'm guiding it, but I'm letting it push out as is to what it goes to, because after the fact is when you go back and link it. That's when you can really gauge in how much tension and like how firm they're going to be. Because if they're too firm, they're just going to pop all over the place.
Yeah.
But if they got a little give, that's where you get that good crunch.
I will say it was totally one of those random. I was actually on a road trip last year, and our hotel ended up being across the street from a Cabela's.
Yes. Yeah.
And we went in, and it turned out to be a member appreciation night, which we didn't know was a thing. And my mom was actually a member at the time, so she ended up going home with a duck call, which was completely weird because we don't hunt ducks.
Right.
But I found the meat trays. So they sell like a big plastic meat tray. And I came home with 2 of them, and we used them. And then I ended up going to Hooksett and buying about 5 more.
Oh, yeah. No, those things are, once you find a tray that dials in, it's a game changer. It really is. When I bought all the equipment for the shop, they threw in like a rack with some stainless steel, like the big industrial stainless steel cookie sheets.
Yep.
I could fit a whole pig on one sheet. It is awesome. It's such a or no, half a pig on one sheet. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Makes life so easy.
Yeah, we don't have that scale.
Yeah. Well, nor should you. You're not a crazy person like I am.
Our meat saw, which we actually have a bandsaw, is a Bureau, and I believe it is from the 50s.
Big round top
And
on it
oh yeah,
with the tensioner on the side.
yep.
We probably have the same one because I have mine is from like the 50s.
And we ended up getting a meat slicer from somebody who just wanted it out of her basement, and it is like a ceramic. I don't even know how old it is, but it's got the sharpening stone on the top of the blade and everything.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's
and I have friends who we call them every time we're doing bacon because they like slicing it, and I have no use for that.
Yeah.
They like coming over. They like using the vacuum sealer. They like using the slicer. I'm like, I will come and label bags.
Yeah, I'll seal bags. Perfect. Have fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
So everybody likes different pieces of it. I am much more of a let me do the big cuts and kind of figure out what we're going to make into sausage, what we're going to make into just ground pork or ground beef, and go for there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's one of those things. It's tough to get into it, but it's like once you're into it, once you get that muscle memory down on it, you're good. It's not hard, but it's the level of entry can be difficult. That's what I would say about that.
The same thing that can be said for pigs. I mean, there's so many people who are like, I'm going to get into pigs and I'm going to breed them. How about you get a couple first and see if you like it?
Right.
Well, yeah, but you've had them before. You're not, first experience, I'm going to buy 15 pigs and breed them all. No. Like
last year when I bought my first, those were the first pigs I had ever bought were from you.
Yeah.
Personally, I've been around pigs. I think that might be the difference. I know what a pig is, what it kind of goes through, and I had some mentoring there and understanding. But before I had pigs, I was like, these are the genetics I'm going to use for my breeding operation. This is how I'm going to do this. And luckily it stuck, which is a good thing. But it's that addictive personality. It won't let it let go. But yeah, but no, you're absolutely right. People need to like really dial in what they want out of this. Get a couple pigs and then go, all right, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah. Do you like the process?
I had a buddy up the road. There were 3 of us, and we all were getting pigs. One buddy had pigs the year before, but kind of like in a confinement situation, and he was building an actual paddock. So all 3 of us in the same couple-month period were building pig pens. And I finished mine first, which was a real morale killer for the rest of the group. Because they walked in, and they're like, this isn't a first-timer's pig setup, right? I'm like, no, because I'm going to be probably doing this for the rest of my life. And they're like, we're not. Ended up helping one of the other ones finish theirs, and the other guy got his done. So they got Yorkshires from another local farm around here, and great Yorkshires come up from Pennsylvania, like really good pigs. And it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. He was literally a minute and a half up the road, but we just never really met up at his house. And finally, I was like, how the pigs doing? He goes, good. Yeah, they're big. I should probably figure out when to get them into you. I'm like, yeah, probably. And I was like, I'll run up tonight once the kids go to bed, and we'll take a look at them. Well, he had 3 Yorkshire Barrows that, if I remember correctly, all 3 of them hung at it. 2 were over 300, and 1 was almost 300.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't need that. I don't need a lot of pork. And I'm like, then why did you get pigs? And he's like, I made a bad decision. And I go, it wasn't a great one. But he got it figured out, and those pigs came out incredible. And they're still eating off them for sure.
Yeah.
But nobody looks at that 6 months ahead. And you need to be not looking at that 6 months ahead. You need to be looking at that 10 months ahead if you're really planning on doing pigs in a somewhat self-sufficient kind of way. Because if not, you're going to get choked out by all of the work and infrastructure and costs that go into it. You need to go into it going, this is going to suck for a while until I get dialed in. And
grain is not cheap.
No.
And I mean, food scraps are great if you've got a mechanism for taking care of any trash that goes with it,
Mm-hmm.
and a consistent set of things that pigs will eat.
Right.
So, I mean, we have a deal with a couple of grocery stores where we get food that can't be sold, basically. So I know for a fact my pigs really like mangoes,
Yep.
and it wasn't the litter you got, but we had some that the piglets had eaten probably a metric ton of avocados, and they kind of looked like they had some weird gastrointestinal disease, and we're like, no, they've just eaten a ton of avocados.
Yeah.
It's fine. They're fine. We'll say the worst part of that is the big ones will chomp through the pit, and that is a terrible noise.
That has to be a terrifying sound.
That is a terrible noise.
We had a deal with a grocery store last year that it was. I'm glad I got it, and I definitely got it because like the manager of that store hired me my first job in Meredith. Like, so he was like, yeah, put him at the top of the list. But it was like Sunday and Monday pickup.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Sundays I have the kids all day. I'm not venturing because I'm not going to show up at 6 or like 7 a.m. when you open to pick up scraps because then I don't get scraps because you just started for the day. And by the time it's like, I'm not venturing out to get the kids. And then Monday's crazy. So I would constantly forget. And I finally was like, I appreciate you guys, but find somebody else. Like, cause it's not, it's a hustle. Like that's half of raising pigs is you're hustling because you're trying to figure out where you can get free feed. Like I was getting grain from a brewery up here. They wouldn't touch it. And I could get I could get as much as I wanted, hundreds of pounds. Wouldn't touch it. Cows loved it, but they wouldn't touch it. And I'm like, you sons of bitches, like, please, this is free.
Yep. And we'll get some batches that are loaded up with onions. And those we make sure go to the outside pigs because at least if they don't eat them, they'll trample them into the dirt and they'll compost.
Exactly.
But yeah, cleaning onions out of a pen inside is not a good time.
Sure isn't. Yeah. No, it's an adventure. And we're at the point now. We just loaded the cows up that we sold the other day. So now we're down to one cow that's going in the freezer this fall. We're just going to grain them out the rest of the summer and see you later. And we're going to take a break from cows. And I'm putting everything on pigs because I'm like, I have the space to do anything. I have the majority of the infrastructure already set up with a little tweaking and probably some anxiety medication for putting pigs just on electric. We'll be able to like really pasture pigs, like because I probably have connected to where they are. I'd say it's a good 6 or 7 acres of hayfield and like really, really nice field that I want them to be able to turn over, but also produce off of. Like, so we're doubling down. It's crazy when we finally made the decision of like, we're doing this. It's like, okay, going all in.
So we do run the electric netting.
Yeah.
And I don't have issues with that. And I do occasionally run them on double or single wire.
Yeah.
So we did that last year in our pumpkin area because we got tired of picking pumpkins.
Yeah.
And we just put the pigs in there and let them clean them up for us.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's it works out, but it is nerve-wracking to think, oh, you can just step over this.
You just walk right through it.
Yeah.
Like it just gives me so. But it's again the way I'm thinking of it now, bird's eye view of everything because. I just have such anxiety that most of my pens are woven wire with double electric.
Yep.
And it's like the way I have it set up now, it can be very easy to just because right now it's attached to the cow pasture. That's 4 strands. and all I would do was run a 5th strand kind of at nose level of where it is, because I don't have one right there yet. So it's just run an extra strand and kind of hope for the best, and then do polywire along either side so I can just move them across as I go.
Yeah.
But there's something about it. It's just like, I don't like it.
I absolutely understand. And I mean, like I said, I've chased grounds on so many pens, and I've had pens that I've never found the ground. We had one a few years ago that we were running a 7-jewel fencer on. And I couldn't find the ground, but I had to run down the street for an appointment. So I went to let myself out of the gate, and I finished the circuit, and I took it straight across the chest.
It sucks so bad.
I felt that one.
Mine is garbage right now. I watched one of the piglets I got from you just put his nose right on the fence and just go, meh. Like it got him a little bit, but it was like what was that? I'm like, and I'm looking at the paddocks around, and I'm like, there's so much grass growing up around, because they respect the electric fence too much that they just don't even go near anything. Yep. So I got to go around and weed whack everything down.
Yeah, and I mean, you want it to bite, but at the same time, like, they have floppy ears.
Oh yeah, I've seen it a couple times. It's pretty great. I mean, there is a comedic value to it for sure, where it's just to me there is, because if I'm outside and I hear it and there's other people around, I go, fence is hot, and everyone just goes, what is he saying?
Yep.
Just heard something scream and someone yell, fence is hot. Everyone's like, what are we doing? What's going on? But so we are up on an hour here. Do you have anything to plug? The business, social media, anything?
I have seen a couple of people pop up as having visited my website, so I do put blog posts up there periodically. I did talk quite a bit about the kiwi berries going in. Otherwise, we are on Facebook as Kenyon Acres, and I try to keep it updated. I try to do fun stuff with it, and the more people want to provide things for me to talk about, the better I will be with it.
Right.
Otherwise, I just talk about the things that I think are fun.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. And you can follow me again. If you're watching this now, please hit the subscribe button underneath, please. Again, on this channel, we post butchering content, farming content. It's been a lot of farming content lately. And one, that's just because there's a lot of farming content happening. And two, it has been so hot up here, and I have a couple ACs running in the shop, but it still gets too hot for me to really screw around with filming anything. So hopefully once everything starts to cool down a little bit, we'll be at a better spot to start posting some more processing and slaughter videos, stuff like that. It is at Backwoods Butcher 603 on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we are also on Nostr. And you can also listen to this podcast on the Fountain app. So you can tip with Satoshis. I still am not 100% sure what all that means, but I'm in it. So I appreciate all you guys watching, and I hope you guys get a chance to meet the critter.